How's it going, everyone? We're going to try to do a live show tonight. Hopefully this works out well. We'll go ahead and jump in. Let me just post this a couple different places. Let's see. What's up, everyone? And I'm just gonna post this in the chat. All right, guys. I just thought we would hop on here and talk about again the 20-week moving average. Obviously, Bitcoin is testing it yet again. You can see here, we had a wick down to the 20-week moving average. So obviously we've tested it again. 20-week, we had it once 4 weeks ago over at, in August 31st, the week of August 31st, we tested the 20-week. We tested it again September 7th. We didn't really test it this week of the 14th, but we had a wick down to the 20-week moving average on September 21st, which was today. And you can see it basically came right down to the 20-week, which is at around 10,150, give or take a few dollars, depending on which exchange you're using, right? So, it's still one of those things where we really can't say for sure, right, if we're going to hold it or not. We still don't know. One of the nice things, though, of course, is, we've had 4 candles here in a row, 1, 2, 3, 4. So since testing it the first time, we have continued to stay above it every single time so far. So, that's at least somewhat encouraging. And if you look back at all of the if you look back at all the different times that Bitcoin has held the 20-week, so let's look at the BLX. So I just want to draw your attention to a few things. So if you look at the last time, so last cycle, so this orange line here is the 20-week moving average. When we first came down to it, so you can see when we first came down to the 20-week, we instantly, we had a candle that came down to it, and then the next candle went below. Okay, and this was a failure of the 20-week, right? It was a failure to hold the 20-week moving average. The next time we came down, right? Let me delete that. I'm not really sure what I'm drawing here. The next time we came down, we bounced right off of it, right? We saw a pretty quick bounce off of it. And this, we ended up holding it later as support, right? We were basically flirting with the line for months. We were flirting with the line for months. So yeah, someone's like spamming the chat. Anyways, yeah, so we were flirting with the line for months. So again, if we repeat the last cycle, we are going to be somewhat close to the 20-week moving average for a fairly significant amount of time on our first theoretical test of the 20-week moving average, right? And then eventually we pumped above it, right? I mean, you can see that our local top the last time was around 450. And this was the range we were basically between. So it came up, back down, up, and then back down to the 20-week, and then back up, and then we ultimately broke through once we got squeezed between this local top and the 20-week moving average. So the thing is it can be a slow grind, right? And the thing is too is when we tested the 20-week over here, that first candle came below. So if you go back to the current day, we had our first test and we instantly fell below, right? We came down to it and then we fell below. Again, we came down to it and we instantly fell below, right here too. And then this one, we have not just immediately fallen below, right? We came back down to it, and instead we've kind of bounced back up a little, and we're still trending upwards. So in order for us to stay above the 20-week, as we've said, right, the price of Bitcoin has to continue trending upwards itself, right? Otherwise, if the price of Bitcoin were to just say trend sideways, right? If the price of Bitcoin were to just go sideways, then the 20-week moving average would go above it. And then this would not be good, right? Because then we have the price closing below the 20-week moving average. Now, I understand there's a lot of uncertainty in the air with the election, right? If you're, the United States election, with, there tends to be, if you look at traditional markets, as we've talked about a few times in the past, if you look at traditional markets, oftentimes they dip going into elections, right? They dip going into elections, but then they pretty quickly recover after the election. So, it wouldn't be that surprising to see traditional markets dip. This is already, we already seen somewhat of a correction, right? And so it wouldn't be that surprising, right? If traditional markets dip down. With that said, at least this year, other years have been somewhat different, but at least this year, the price of Bitcoin does seem to be at least somewhat correlated to traditional markets, right? If you look at the S&P 500 and then look at its correlation to Bitcoin, it does seem to have somewhat of a correlation, and because of that, we have to consider, in a scenario, in one of the potential universes that exists in our multiverse, if the traditional markets do correct a lot harder, then there's a good chance that Bitcoin would also correct again, right? And what does that mean? That means it would probably, if traditional markets were to take like, a 20 or 30% hit, then this would cause Bitcoin almost assuredly to fall below the 20-week moving average, right? This is if recent history is any indication, right? If recent history this year, any indication of what Bitcoin may do, if we see traditional markets taking big hits, then obviously there's a good chance that Bitcoin will fall below its 20-week moving average. Now, this doesn't really mean it's the end, right? It just means that we're kicking the can down the road a bit. You can see that we're still within our regression line, right? Our regression line that's hopefully taking us back up to 20K. Or the price of Bitcoin, while it is very volatile, we're generally trending upward, right? We're generally trending upward, and we're heading to this point up here. Now this, again, would be a sustainable, okay, Cami T looks like wants to be banned from the channel. So let me go ahead and hide him since he's spamming addresses. Okay, he's gone. All right, so to get to a sustainable 20K, right, we're looking to hold this line. So, if traditional markets do take a hit, right, if traditional markets take a hit and Bitcoin falls below the 20-week, right, which there's no guarantee that it will, it could stay above it. But if it does, I think the next obvious stop for Bitcoin, one of the main stops, would be the 50-week moving average. And the 50-week moving average is currently at 88.66. So, with that in mind, and if you remember too, around 8,800, 8,900, this was our prior support, right, in this accumulation range over here. So if you look at this accumulation range that we had right here, it was around 8,800, 8,900. So if Bitcoin were to break the 20-week moving average, then I think a potential place that it would go, right, would be the 50-week. If you look back at the last two times that the 20-week broke, right, so it broke right here and it instantly came down to the 100-week moving average. Here it came down to the 200-week moving average with a wick to the 300-week moving average, right? So if we plot it on the BLX, so right, so this one, it broke, went to the 100-week moving average. This time it broke, it went to the 200-week with a wick to the 300-week, and then this time we're hoping to hold it. So if it doesn't hold it, I would anticipate, potentially going down to the 8,800s, 8,900s. I feel like that would be a reasonable place to test. Maybe lower. You can see that the 200-week of course is always on the cards, right? We're always prepared for a drop to the 200-week. The 200-week is currently 67.26. Okay, so 67.26 is where the 200-week is. Historically, this has been our major line of support, right? throughout this entire market, throughout this accumulation phase over here. The 200-week moving average was support. And you can see that we actually held at a support several times during that cycle. It was the 200-week moving average. So, I'm not saying, right, that we have to drop down there. I'm just saying that, if we do fall below it, this would be at least where I would be looking for. And remember, if we do drop below the 20-week, a lot of altcoins will tend to bleed more heavily against Bitcoin than they would. Then they would bleed against USD, but they would also likely bleed against Bitcoin. So again, we're still on track. Even if the 20-week doesn't hold, I still contend that we're still on track. And that we still have plenty of time to work our way up to a sustainable $20,000 Bitcoin over the next, say, like 16 months or so. And one of the most common questions I get on my channel, right, is, why am I so conservative with predicting a $20,000 Bitcoin so far off into the future? Well, I think it's really not that conservative. I mean, the last time that Bitcoin was at $20,000 was almost 3 years ago, right? It was almost 3 years ago. And I'm just speculating that it could take another 16 months, right? I mean, it's really not that conservative. It's just looking at the data and recognizing that it tends to take getting into the regression band before we hit it, and then looking at the prior all-time high, extending it over, realizing that we were in the regression band, then we hit it, and then we went parabolic, and then extending it here as well. Now, let me just look at the comments. Yeah, I don't really think the CME 4-hour gap at 3.5K is that important. But okay, so what we want to look at, right, is one of the things I wanted to show you guys, though. If it makes you feel any better, for those who are upset with how long this market cycle might take, I want to draw your attention to something else. Okay, so I want you guys to see this. So if you're upset, right, that this market cycle is maybe taking longer than you would like, right, and recognizing that the parabolic move likely won't come until, January or the first quarter of 2022 or something, right, if it's still going to take us this long just to get back to 20K. Now, I want to extend this to make you feel a little bit better. So your current self can feel a little bit better for realizing what people are going to have to deal with in the future. Okay, so let's project this out. Let's first of all say that, it doesn't even matter if the 20-week holds, right? We don't care. I mean, we do care, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it holds. Let's say we just generally trend up this line to a sustainable $20,000 sometime over here. Okay, let's say we get to a sustainable $20,000 sometime over here, and then we go parabolic, okay? And let's say we go parabolic, and we go to like 120,000, 140,000 sometime in 2023, okay? And then we go into the bear market after that. Now, if we extend this, so let's draw another line like this one. So we're going to take it from our prior, we're going to go to when we get back to 20K, up to, sorry, let me draw a new line, up to the next all-time high, so to the next paradigm shift in the market. So this is what it would look like, right? So something like this. So continuing this parabolic move, bear market, move back to the prior all-time high, parabolic move, bear market, slow move to the prior all-time high, parabolic move, bear market, slow move to the prior all-time high, parabolic move, right? And obviously you can adjust this. We don't know exactly where it's going to go. Maybe it'll peak over here. Maybe it'll do something like this instead. And continue on its merry way. Now, if that happens, right, then what we want to do is we anticipate a bear market following it. Now, the fair value of Bitcoin by the 2024 halving will be approximately $40,000 or so. I think the fair value will be approximately $40,000. And historically speaking, the price of Bitcoin has always been within just a few percentage points of its fair value according to this regression fit. So at the halving, it has always been very close to its fair value. So let's take it back down here. Let's say this is our bear market, but hopefully the halving will help curb the effects of the bear market, and we'll be approximately at that level. So let's change this one to red. Okay, so this is our next bear market. And then what we need to do is we need to say, okay, this is our next all-time high, and we're going to extend it over. Okay? recognizing that cycles are likely lengthening, right? So this is what we're looking at. From here, for us to get to this point, if we start down here and we slowly trend up, this next slow move up after a bear market could last us, 4 or 5 years, right? It could last us 4 or 5 years to continue to make that move back to the prior all-time high, right? So and that might take us out till 2028 or maybe 2029. So then, I'm just trying to make you feel better, right? If you're upset with how long this one takes, just imagine how long the next one is going to take. And from here, the next parabolic move, right, I think would take us to, a few $100,000. And maybe it would be like in 2031, 2032. I don't really know exactly where it's going to be, but something like that, where it would take us maybe like out here somewhere, where it would be slightly parabolic, but not too parabolic, because we know volatility is going to decrease and ultimately look something like this, right? And then if we extend our regression line out, where it continues to do something like that. And then the fair value is down here. So this is ultimately what I see happening, right? And because of that, if you're frustrated with this part, with this phase of the cycle, just recognize that the people who are going to be buying your bags most likely at the peak of this cycle, right? If you have some Bitcoin that you're able to sell up in this region, they're going to have to wait a lot longer. Okay, so they're going to have to wait a lot longer, and this is the general point. So let me know what you guys think about that. If you guys have questions, I'd be happy to talk about them. Again, there's a good chance that we hold the line, right? There's a good chance we hold the line, and that it's just business as usual. So again, there's no guarantee that we have to fall below the 20-week moving average, right? We recognize that there's a good chance that we hold it. And if you look at the first cycle, the first time we got above it, we held it. The second time, it took 2 times before we got above it. Third time, maybe it takes 3 times. I don't know if it scales linearly or not. Maybe it scales exponentially. But regardless, I think this, as I've said before, I think that 2019, 2020, and 2021 are the accumulation years, right? The best accumulation years for Bitcoin of our lifetime, right? Obviously, 2011, 2010 would have been a better time. 2012 would have been a better time. 2015, 2016 would have been a better time. But looking now going forward, I would say that 2019 was a great time. We said it. 2019 was an accumulation year back in 2019. 2020 is an accumulation year, and even at least part of 2021. Maybe all of 2021, but I would say at least part of 2021 will be an accumulation year for Bitcoin, right? And so the goal again is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as you can for as little as you can, right? And this is the primary goal. Also, there's a lot of people that think that traditional markets have to absolutely have to completely crash, right? Completely crash. I don't think this is necessarily true, right? I mean, there could be a dip. There could be a dip in the market. We've seen dips going into the election, in past elections, but it doesn't mean that they necessarily have to crash. Like, we might not see a March 2020 crash again for the next few years. So some of you might scoff at that, right? But you probably were also someone who scoffed in March when someone maybe said that the NASDAQ would see new all-time highs this year. So you have to remember that we can't really know what the traditional markets are going to do, but we can at least react to different scenarios and try to make the most of it. So let me know what you guys think. And I still think I still contend that we're still going to slowly move up. The lower bound on this band is approximately $6,500, which is around the 200-week moving average. The upper point on the band is around $14,000, which, as we know, is the candle from 2017. Like, after that candle is what took us to 20K. So I think 14K is going to be a pretty significant level whenever we get there. But right now, 12K is our major stepping stone, right? We need to step off 10K to get to a sustainable 12K, and then from there we can slowly work our way up to 14K. So make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up. We only have 50 likes. Let's try to get to 100 likes. And let me know what you guys think. I'll try to answer some questions. If you guys have any questions. All right, a bad person is a troll, so I will remove him. I love doing live streams because it's a good way to get the trolls out of the channel. Peter says, I don't know why people get upset about cycles being longer. I think it's just because they want their money, right? They want it now. They don't want to wait. The bottom of the regression band right now is 65.12. Someone asked. Someone says, is this a good time for XRP? I would say that again, Ripple XRP, as we've said many videos, that it tends to be better for XRP to wait until Bitcoin gets to its prior all-time high before jumping in. What are the chances that Bitcoin never sees a new all-time high again? I think pretty low. I think there's a really good chance we'll eventually get to 20K. It's just going to take longer than most people think, right? I mean, I would contend that the most likely time, I think the most likely time for it to get to 20K would be the first quarter of 2022. That's when I think it's going to happen. Of course, I could be off by a few months, but I think that the most likely time would be the first quarter of 2022 would when Bitcoin would get to a sustainable 20K. I've often said, the fourth quarter of 2021 or the first quarter of 2022. I tend to err on the side of it being a little bit longer, but I would say if I had to pick, I would say the first quarter of 2022. Someone says, do you honestly believe Ethereum will hit 10K this cycle? I don't really know if it'll hit 10K. I'll probably be mostly out of the market if it's even close to that. I mean, if Bitcoin goes to 100K and the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio can make it to 0.1, right, then that puts Ethereum at 10K, and the last cycle it hit 0.15. So I think it's theoretically possible. But then again, what if Bitcoin only goes to, say, 75K, and then it gets to a 0.1 ratio and then puts it at 7,500? If in the context of Ethereum being potentially one market cycle behind Bitcoin, if you look at the bottom of Bitcoin in 2015, it did 100x, right? It went from around $200 to $20,000 in about 2 years. So 100x. And if the contention is that Ethereum is one market cycle behind Bitcoin, well, we know the low of Ethereum was around $100, maybe a little bit less, maybe like $80 or something this cycle. So 100x from there would put it at around 8,000. So again, I think there's a chance that it hits 10,000, but I would probably be mostly out of the market by that point. I see we have some stock to flow trolls in here that drink the Kool-Aid that is dished up, but fail to recognize how I think just inaccurate that model is going to be. But these people tend to pop up in every single video. Someone says, is there an Ethereum Bitcoin diminishing returns chart? I don't think there's enough data yet to know, right? There's not really enough data to know if the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio is diminishing over time. I mean, there's a chance that it is, right? I mean, one of the things I've often said is I don't think that if you look at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, right, I don't think that it's just going to continue to go up and up each cycle, right? What I would contend is that it's essentially honing in, right, on what the fair value is going to be, something like that. So maybe it comes up, it stays above it for a while, it goes below it for a while, it goes above it for a while, something like that. But I ultimately think that it's going to be honing in on a specific fair value. I don't think it's just going to continue to go up like this forever, or I don't think that we're going to see these massive explosive moves of Ethereum against Bitcoin like we've seen in the past. We might see really nice moves, but I don't think we're going to see like a 1,700% move against Bitcoin in a very short period of time. Sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments. So people are talking about altcoins. Altcoins are really risky right now, given Bitcoin's proximity to the 20-week moving average. You have to keep that in mind. Yes, Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin over the last few months. That's why I hold Ethereum. I mean, it has higher risk associated with it, but theoretically, it has a higher ROI. Peter says, are you confident enough with lengthening cycles that if Bitcoin went up to 20K in a couple months, you'd sell the majority of your Bitcoin temporarily to buy back in? So this is the nice thing, right, about it. It doesn't matter what it does. I have the risk levels for Bitcoin, and so if the risk levels get hit, right, then I sell a portion. I dynamically DCA my Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does go, so to immediately answer your question, right, if Bitcoin were to go to 20K in say 2 months, then the risk level would obviously be in the risk regime where I would be selling some. I would be selling some, but not all of it. Okay, so this is the way it works with the risk levels. You sell incrementally more as it goes up the risk band. With Ethereum congestion and gas prices be a limit on its price increase. Well, this is the whole idea with like the transition to 2.0, right? If it can successfully transition to 2.0, proof of stake, maybe this will help catalyze or continue to catalyze the bull market. If it doesn't happen and Ethereum continues to just be this super congested network, then look at other options, right, that are going to swoop in and steal market share, right? There's a ton of other options. Cardano, there's Polkadot, there's Tezos, Cosmos, and there's a lot of other options, right, where different chains are going to look to kind of just like swoop in and take market share if Ethereum fails to make that transition. So this is why we have hedges. Again, Ethereum is the number 2 percentage, so Bitcoin's number 1 in my portfolio, Ethereum's number 2. So I mean, but I think it is a good thing to have hedges, right? I think having a couple hedges can be a really good thing in this type of a market, right, where you really don't want to look back and say, wow, I wish I hadn't gone all in on one very specific coin. Because the only thing we know, right, if you were to fast forward 10 years, I feel like the only thing we could say for sure is that Bitcoin will still be around. Every other coin, I feel like there's some level of uncertainty, right? There's some level of uncertainty as to whether it's even going to be around anymore, right? And you can imagine scenarios where other chains swoop in and take a lot of market share from Ethereum if Ethereum can't get things done, right? Can't get the transition to 2.0, because I mean people aren't going to wait around forever, right? But at the same time, Ethereum has a lot going for it. I mean, that's where the developers are, and it takes a lot. The coefficient of static friction on developers moving from one chain to another is very high, right? There has to be a really good reason for them to move to another chain. Once some start moving, right, if there's a lot that start moving, then maybe more will follow. But to get a lot moving is going to take a lot of work. So this is why I think Ethereum is my number 2, because it has I think it has the best it has the highest confidence, I think. Let me know what other questions you guys have. Please subscribe to the channel, guys, if you guys like the content. Give the video a thumbs up. Turn on the bell icon, or click the bell icon to turn notifications on. We're still, as of now, we're still holding the line. Bitcoin is at 10,464. Note that the 20-week moving average is 10,143 according to this. So we're still about 3% above the 20-week moving average. So again, the proximity to the 20-week makes it very risky for altcoins. Does the regression band set the next new low after the bull run? Yeah, I think the next low, I mean, if Bitcoin theoretically goes to like 1 to 200K, I think the next low will probably be somewhere around 40 to 50K, somewhere in that ballpark. ADA is a hedge. I think it's a good hedge against Ethereum. We follow ADA a lot on the YouTube channel and the premium list. Kirby says, why does crypto react so strongly to stock market moves, and do you see this relationship eventually decoupling? Well, if you look at, as we've said before, if you look at the Bitcoin bear markets, they're not actually correlated to the S&P, right? One was positively correlated, one was negatively correlated, and one wasn't correlated at all. If you look at the correlation coefficient between the price of Bitcoin over the last 10 years to the S&P over the last 10 years, then it's highly correlated, right? And the reason is because both assets have trended upward over the last 10 years. This year, it seems, that a lot of these moves in the stock market have caused Bitcoin to react accordingly. Remember, again, as we've said before, Bitcoin is not a hedge against a recession, it's a hedge against inflation. So in recessions, people tend to liquidate their higher risk assets, right? Like if a lot of people have all these different, positions, and the market is super volatile and it's starting to go down a lot of people will liquidate higher risk plays to preserve their capital. So I think this at least somewhat intuitively makes sense. So Trey says, how much Bitcoin should one person have? I think it's all about percentages, right? I mean, again, what one Bitcoin is changes every cycle, right? I mean, it used to be, a nice dinner, right? And then it became $1,000. So what one Bitcoin is changes, right? And then when it goes to $20,000, it was like a new car. So I would say, don't focus on exactly how much it is, but just focus on the percentages, right? I mean, if it's hard for you to accumulate to one Bitcoin, maybe you work as hard as you can to get there. And I mean, let's say you accumulate it's like 0.5 Bitcoin, and you might not think like that's a lot, but you fast forward one market cycle, right? And next cycle, when people are DCAing into the market, like 0.5 Bitcoin is going to be a hell of a lot of money, right? I mean, if you look last cycle, I mean, I know this cycle, a lot of people, they have the goal of accumulating like one Bitcoin, right? Last cycle, if you go back to say 2015, a lot of people were talking about accumulating 10 Bitcoin, right? Because back in 2015, for if at $200 or $300 for 10 Bitcoin, it's a pretty decent amount of money, right? You're talking about a few $1,000s. So, and then if you go back a cycle before that, right, you could be accumulating even a lot more Bitcoin. So what you should focus on, right, is just accumulating it, because in my opinion, right, the next cycle, what you're accumulating is going to be what future people that are accumulating could only dream of, right? So what you're accumulating might be, if you're putting say $500 a month to Bitcoin or something like that, and you're slowly accumulating. In say 4 years, $500 a month might only net you, I don't know exactly, right? But I can't really say for sure what the price is going to be. But you can imagine that it might be 10x, 10 or 5x, five times less than what it is today. So just take this into consideration. Sam says, will institutional and or large companies impact the price of Bitcoin and flatten the Bitcoin price, so we can't expect any large bubbles in the future? As I've said before, I think that the volatility is decreasing. The market is maturing. The autocorrelation function of Bitcoin shows that it's not as correlated to a lagging version of itself. So we know the market is maturing. Therefore, I still think there's going to be bubbles, right? I think this is going to be our next bubble, and then the next bubble will be a little bit more not as bubble-ish. But with that said, I still think there's potentially a lot of money to be made, right? You're just going to have to be more and more patient, right? And I think this is what it's ultimately going to look like. So I would say that if you're looking for those amazing gains, this, right? I mean, this is going to be over the next few years is probably among your best opportunities to do so. Because I think once we get into the next cycle, like once we hit the peak of this cycle between like 100 to 200K and we come back down to 40 or 50K, I think it's going to be an incredibly long grind, right, to get back to our six-figure mark. Like I think it's going to take like half a decade to slowly trend back up just to get back to six figures. So, yeah, I mean, the market's mature, right? We know market's mature. Every single time, people are going to try to front run the top a little bit sooner, and this is why the ROI every single cycle from market cycle bottom to the top is lower, right? It's because people are catching on, and they don't want to be the chump, stuck with their Bitcoin and they're 90% down or they're 85% down. So you just try to front run it a little bit more each cycle. Mirth says everyone can't own a Bitcoin. It's true. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, and there's like 7 billion people in the world. So obviously, no, not every person can own one Bitcoin. Why do people say Bitcoin is for sure going up a lot, but say don't invest more than you can afford to lose in the same breath? Because there's no guarantee, right? I mean, it might not go up. And even if it does go up, there's a risk to holding it. Like, what if you lose your private keys, or what if you fall for a scam or something, right? I mean, you have to be careful because there are no guarantees. There's no guarantee that it's going to go to 100K. We think it's going to go to 100K, but that doesn't mean you should bet the family farm on it, right? And there's a difference between what you think is going to happen and what makes sense from like a risk management standpoint. What other questions do you guys have? Yeah, I already said about if the stock market, I mean, if the stock market goes down like 20 or 30%, then yeah, I think Bitcoin probably won't hold the 20 week. But I don't think there's a guarantee that the stock market has to crash 20 or 30%. I think the stock to flow chart is not worth watching. Someone says, will we hit 8K? Well, if we fall below the 20 week, if you see a weekly close below the 20 week, I think there's a good chance we would at least go to maybe the upper 8,000s. But again, there's a chance that we hold the 20 week, right? There's a chance that we hold it, right? And again, if you zoom in here, we're at least giving the 20 week a run for its money, right? We're at least giving it a run for its money. Which, by the way, we didn't really give it a run for its money back over here. I mean, over here we just came down to it and instantly fell below. At least this time we came down to it, and we're kind of holding it as support for about 4 weeks already. And remember, I know these times are scary and everyone thinks it's going to drop below the 20 week, and we admit that it could, right? There's always a chance that it could. But if you look at the last cycle, the first time that it held the 20 week as support, right? It was basically flirting with the 20-week moving average for let me take a measured time move, date range. Let's be a little bit liberal and start from here. It was basically flirting with the 20-week for about 19 weeks. So approximately 4 months, the price of Bitcoin was around the 20-week moving average. But remember, to stay above the 20-week, it continued to slowly trend upward, right? So if you look at this, you can see that it did slowly trend upward over these 19 to 20 weeks, right? It moved up approximately 20 to 25% over that time, getting us back to the local top, right? Which, as we said, is what it was the convergence of that local top and the 20 week that ultimately shot us through it, right? So we came up to this local top, we came to the 20 week, right? Which was, by the way, again, it was our prior local top before that, right? Approximately speaking. So we came up to the local top, back down to the 20 week, which corresponded to our prior local top or our potential reaccumulation, back to the local top, back to the 20 week, hugging the 20 week for a couple months, back to the local top. These two converge, right? And then we break through into a new level, right? So if we were to repeat this, as we said, right, if the same thing were to play out during this cycle, right, then the idea, as we said before, would be that, maybe if you imagine the 20-week continues to move up, right, if the price continues to stay slightly bullish, the 20-week slowly moves up, and eventually it gets close to 12K, assuming that the price is, going back up to 12K and then back down to the 20-week and then maybe back up to the 12K and then sideways. If it were to repeat, right, if this cycle were to repeat the last cycle and it did something like that, and then we break up to the next level, which I think would be around 14K, right? And remember, we're going to have these stepping stones, right? It's like 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, right? And then maybe 2 steps forward and then maybe 1 step back or something. So even in a bull market, this is probably what we're going to see, right? We're going to see these moves forward and then we're going to correct a little bit, right? Because as we showed, even in bull markets, you see those 20% corrections time and time again, and they all go to the 20-week moving average more or less, right? These 20 to 30% corrections, sometimes 40% corrections down to the 20-week, they're a dime a dozen, right? There's so many of them, and it's just a matter of weathering the storm and potentially taking profits, right, if the risk level gets too high, right? And in this region, if it comes back down, then you buy back in. So right now, if Bitcoin is in a bull market, right, if we are in a bull market, which there's a chance that this is a bull market, there's always a chance, then around the 20-week, right, is among the best times to buy it. I can't say for sure if we're in a bull market. There's a good chance that we are, but if we are, then around the 20-week, at least according to the last cycle, right, was the best time to buy every single time, right? Again, if you look at the 20-week moving average, every time we were on the 20-week, it was the best time to buy, right? Again, here, best time to buy, best time to buy, best time to buy, best time to buy, and so on and so forth. Let me look at the questions. This is just the simple moving average, it's not an exponential moving average, right? This is not the exponential moving average. I mean, I could put on an exponential moving average, but that's not the exponential moving average, right? So I mean, you have to consider that, I know some people like to use the EMA instead. I know some people like to use the 21 EMA. Which you can basically see the 21 exponential moving average and the 20-week moving average are basically the same thing right now. So they're pretty close to each other. But you can see that this first wick came right down. This one came right down to the 20-week right here. This one came slightly below it, right? This one came pretty close, but not quite. So if you want to use something besides the 20-week, that's fine, but I just like to use the 20-week because I think it has done a pretty good job in the past of showing when we're bullish or when we're bearish. I guess someone named No Name wants to be hidden from the chat as well, so I'll say bye to you. And don't bother commenting because no one's gonna see it anymore. Someone says, in your opinion, is there a higher chance of a major stock market correction or Bitcoin holding the 20-week moving average? If there is a major stock market correction, then there's probably a good chance that Bitcoin would not hold the 20-week moving average. So they kind of go hand in hand to some degree. But I think that there's a chance that Bitcoin could not hold the 20-week and then there not be a stock correction, right? I think there's a higher chance of that happening. So if that's what you're framing it as, right? So I think if the stock market corrects like 30%, then Bitcoin's probably not going to hold the 20-week. if Bitcoin doesn't hold the 20 week, it doesn't mean that the stock market's correcting 20% or 30%. Julio asked something about a 4-year cycle, which doesn't make sense because there's no evidence of 4-year cycles, which we've showed many times on the channel. Again, you know, these people that make these comments and say that I'm cherry picking, I really don't know what you're talking about. Like, I think what it ultimately boils down to is you're just drinking the Kool-Aid of crypto Twitter, right? You're drinking the Kool-Aid that's being served to you and not actually looking for yourself, right? You take these measured moves, and we just look at time frames, as we've shown many times before, right? If you measure bottom to bottom, the first one was 448 days. The second one was 1,190 days. The next one after that was 1,435 days. Why would we assume that? I mean, look, you can see it's increasing, and this is measuring bottom to bottom. So we would expect the next one to be longer than the last one, going from bottom to bottom, right? So it'd probably be somewhere around 2024 or something. If you take it from bottom to top, you know, 301 days, bottom to top. Again, we have 749 days, bottom to top. We have 1,078 days. Again, I don't see the evidence of the 4-year cycle. So, I mean, I would argue that the only people cherry picking are the people who do believe in the 4-year cycle, right? Those are the people that are cherry picking because they're the ones that say, oh, there's this one cycle that was 4 years, therefore all of them have to be 4 years. And then, so the next one would probably be longer than 1,078 days to go from bottom to top, right? Which again puts us somewhere out 2022, 2023 timeframe. And furthermore, if you measure it from top to top, it also is lengthening, right? So this one's 903 days. This one would be 1,484 days. You would expect the next one to be even longer, maybe around 2,000 days or so. So again, the only people that are cherry picking, in my opinion, right, are the people that say the 4-year cycle theory is true and don't actually want to look at the data, because no matter how you measure it, right, it's the cycles are lengthening, right, no matter how you measure it. So to say that I'm the one cherry picking the data is a little bit comical in my opinion. No, it's not based on the 4-year halvings. Like you know, just because the halving is approximately every 4 years does not mean that. I mean, look at the data. Like what else do I need to show you? You know, like I mean, do you want to look at the data, or you just want to take something that's been spoon fed to you on Twitter, right? I mean, look at the data. Don't worry about what someone says on Twitter, right? I mean, who cares? I mean, if I were to say, right, if I made the projection that Bitcoin were going to go to 100,000 in 2021. Like, why should you believe me? Just because I say it, right? Like, just because it doesn't mean anything, right? Have the people that think that show you why, right? Have them show you why they think that, not that they just made some stock to flow model that they fit to an equation y equals mx plus b, which some middle schooler could have done, tell you that it has an r squared of 0.99, and you drink the Kool-Aid all the way home, right? Think for yourself, like look at the data, and take the data for what it's worth, and don't, you know, I present to you lengthening cycle theory as what the data suggests, right? It's not just what Ben suggests, and I'm trying to communicate what the data suggests. This is my point. So if you ever see me saying something that the data seems to be saying something else, then, you know, say something about that. But just to say that, oh, such and such person says that the 4-year cycle theory must be true, therefore it must be true, is just completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. The only good thing I think I could say about stock to flow is that it's a good marketing thing, right? It probably got more people into Bitcoin because they think it's going to go to 100K in 2021, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of these people are going to be very disappointed when it doesn't, and you know, and I mean, business will continue on, and maybe these are the guys that have to finally capitulate before we can finally go parabolic. Someone says, what is your top in this bull market in 2020? If you look at the data and you take measured moves from each bottom to bottom, top to top, etc. I think that the next peak will likely be somewhere around six figures. Like I think it'll be around like maybe 120 to 140K. Okay, this is what I think. I think if I had to put a very specific number on it, I would say 120 to 140. Okay, with that in mind, I contend that it could probably be between 100 to 200. Like it could go as high as like 180 for all I know. Be that as it may, I will be dynamically selling on the way up, right? I'm probably going to sell several times on the way up. So if by the time we get to 120 or 140K, if we make it to that point, I'm going to be selling like the last of my Bitcoin. I'll probably wish it corresponds to whatever the risk level is at the time. I'll wish the rest of you a good mission, right? I'll say, good luck on your journey. I'll see you guys again when it's back down to 40 or 50K, and then we'll reaccumulate again, right? But if you get too cute, right? If you get too greedy at the top, then you basically miss out. So you have to consider, okay, is it worth staying in a little bit longer to squeeze out a little bit more ROI, or would you rather secure the profits and then protect the wealth, right? Right now you want to grow the wealth, right? You want to grow the wealth because you recognize that this is potentially the opportunity of a lifetime. But then after you grow it, you want to protect it, right? You don't just want to grow it and then watch it dump 90%. This is what a lot of people let happen. By the way, the market's going to mature whether you like it or not. So you either get on board with the maturation of the market, or you ignore it, and it just keeps taking you for a ride every single cycle. So this is my opinion on that. Either get on board with the maturity of the market, recognize that the cycle is lengthening, recognize that the returns are diminishing, and use that to your advantage to make sure you cash out at a time that is very lucrative, and that you're not missing it because you think that it has to go to 250K, or that you think that it has to go to like 288K because someone on crypto Twitter told you it was going to. Again, there's a chance that it doesn't make it to six figures this cycle, right? I mean, this is another thing too. Like we talk about it. I say it could go to 120 to 140K. It could also go to 80K, right? It could go to 90K and then top out. So this is why we say we don't know where the top is, right? And we don't know where the bottom is, but we try to time it as best we can. Therefore, we dynamically DCA on the way up and dynamically DCA our buys when we're low. Again, if you're unfamiliar with that idea, check out the premium list, right, into thecryptoverse.com. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat if you haven't seen it before. The prices are going to go up in 1 week, so if you want access to the premium list before the prices go up, they're going up in 1 week. Sign up before then, and if you do, you get access to the risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade. You get access to the private Telegram alerts channel, the private Telegram chat room, weekly reports, weekly videos, etc. So make sure you check it out if you're interested in joining it before the prices go up. And by the way, they're going up in 1 week, and they're going to go up quite significantly too. So it's going to be a pretty significant jump. Someone says, do you see DeFi as a catalyst to the next bull market? Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think that a lot of the DeFi projects that are alive today probably won't be around in 5 years. But I think that there's a good chance that I think there's a good chance that it could help catalyze it, right? Just like Ethereum 2.0 could help catalyze it. Someone says 4-year cycle theory. 4-year cycle is a theory. Lengthening cycle is a theory as well. The truth is no one knows. The thing is 4-year cycle is a theory based on nothing, essentially. It's like saying, like, I think that I could just make up some like random science phenomenon that like just doesn't make sense. But it doesn't, just because it's a theory doesn't mean it's likely going to be correct. Like we look at the data and like to say, okay, what's more likely to be correct, right? And 4-year cycle theory is not likely to be correct. Someone says, can you share your 20-week moving average settings on this chart? If you want to, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? You add the moving average, you go to settings, and then you just go to the length, you put in 20, and then you hit OK. That's all you have to do. Yeah, if you buy now, you can renew next month at the same price. You're grandfathered in, right? You're grandfathered in at the lower price if you sign up now. If you sign up next month, you'll have to pay the higher price. But if you sign up now, you can stay at the lower price. Adam Sam says, moving averages, 4-year theories, technical analysis is all BS. No one knows what will happen next. I think it's funny that you carry this opinion and yet waste your time watching crypto YouTube. I think it's kind of funny that you would believe that but have nothing better to do with your time. Someone says, the brave new coin, it just goes back longer. So I mean, it goes back to 2010. This is why I like to use it. It also only shows daily closes, right? So you can see the price of the BLX, right? The Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin (BNC). It just shows the daily close. So the daily close today was 10,419. But if you go to say a different one, you can see the price updating in real time. So the BLX just shows the closing price. But the nice thing is it goes all the way back to July of 2010. So, good reason says putting 20 is incorrect. That's 20-day moving average. You would have to put in 140. That is not true, right? If you're on a weekly time frame, you just put in the weekly moving average, right? I understand that a lot of people don't look at weekly time frames, but at the same time, if you go to the weekly time frame and you put in 20 weeks, it is the 20-week moving average. You don't have to change it to 140. If you go to the daily time frame, then yeah, you have to put in a longer time frame to match 20 weeks, because then the default goes to days, not weeks. Someone says, are you not wanting to hold Bitcoin to hedge against inflation? I'm not really sure what that means, because I do hold Bitcoin, so don't really understand that question. Okay, Michael says, do you think since the 20-week will continue to rise, if we stay above the 20-week, that we'll break out sooner, the end of the yellow triangle, or we need to be below, see Bitcoin below it sometime next year? Yeah, so I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I think that there's a good chance that we just continue on up, right? I mean, I guess you're talking about, I think what you're saying, so I think what you're saying is that if the 20-week holds, right, are we going to get above this triangle sooner? I don't think necessarily so. I mean, the 20-week moving average will, it's not necessarily going to keep moving up this quickly, right? It could start moving sideways a little bit. I mean, it could do something like this, right? It doesn't have to, continue moving up this quickly. The reason it's moving up so quickly is because of how quickly the price moved up, right? So I think this answers your question. Anon says, can you please show the next length of the cycle between 2023 and 2027? I suppose it might be 2,500 days in the future. We did that earlier, actually, because I think that if you look here, right, I think we get to the next all-time high. I mean, here it's drawn 2021 into 2021. I think it's probably going to be early 2022. We go parabolic, then bear market to 2024, maybe even 2025, accumulation range for the next 5 years or so, and then from there we go out and peak in maybe 2031, 2032. Do you use any indicators in your analysis besides moving averages? Yeah, I mean, there's so many videos where we talk about the risk metrics, the logarithmic regression analysis, like fair value fits. We We've even looked at on-chain analysis, so I'm not really sure where this is coming from. I use more data science rather than some of these other things, so I don't really understand the question. Have you looked into hyperwave? What do you think? Yeah, I don't think that we have to. I don't really think that hyperwave. The idea that Bitcoin has to go back to like 1100 or something, I don't think it needs to happen. Marie says, why bother buying Bitcoin when the ROI on Ethereum is higher and ride that wave while watching the Bitcoin cycle? Well, it's because you're paying for that potential higher ROI with units of risk, right? So if Bitcoin kicks the bucket, then Ethereum's going to kick the bucket harder. So this is the reason why you calculate out not just your potential ROI, but your risk-adjusted returns. I know a lot of people don't think in terms of risk, but you really should. MB is, I'm guessing, a troll saying, what do you think about the magic stack to flow chart, which makes everything fit into it? Oh, look, it matches perfectly. I'm guessing this is a troll comment because we talked about it about 100 times on this live stream about how it is clearly deceiving and that it makes absolutely no sense. Would you hold some Bitcoin even if the risk went past 1? No, because the risk cannot go past 1. It's capped at 1. It would redefine what 1 is if it went past it. What are your thoughts on Link's drop? Do you have any idea of where it might settle? Yeah, I mean, we expected this, right? I mean, these are the points where I took profits on Link on the way up, right? If you're on the premium list, again, into the cryptoverse.com, we followed the moderate risk tolerance strategy for those that followed what I was doing. We sold 1/15 of Link here, 2/15 here, 3/15 here, 4/15 here. So 4/15 of it was sold at 1850. It didn't exactly time the top perfectly, right? The top was around $20, but we got pretty damn close, right? We got pretty damn close here at 1850. Note that because of this, I was still holding 5/15 of my Link, which means 1/3. So I still held on to 1/3 because it didn't go up to this final band. If we had gone up to like $27, $28, I would have sold at least part of the rest of it. Well, we didn't, so I sold all the way up. And so far, we are certainly in the clear, right? We sold 4/15 of our position here at 1850, 3/15 at $14, and then 2/15 at $10. And then the first sell we did was the first sell that I did anyways, was at around $6. So this is the only one that hasn't been covered yet. And who cares if it's not, right? I mean, if Link continues to go down and doesn't quite make it there and then goes back up, who really cares? Like, right, 9/10 of what we sold, we've already seen the price go below where that was. So this was all anticipated. The reason, the Link Bitcoin risk hit 1, right? It hit the highest point it had ever historically hit. So we knew that the party was almost over. Do you find charting the crypto total market cap useful? Yeah, we do have. I put out a monthly video, so look on the first of every month. There's a total cryptocurrency market cap video. Someone says, where is the 20-week moving average today? 10,750. No, it's at 10,150. Dark Raw is a troll. I'll go ahead and get rid of him. I love doing live streams because it brings out the trolls and I can hide them from my channel. Don't have to worry about their future comments. Has any other YouTuber ever discussed their views on lengthening cycles? I don't know. Maybe. I don't really care. It doesn't matter what their views are, right? All that matters is what the data says. And the data says it's lengthening cycles. Doesn't really matter what someone else tells you. Doesn't matter what I tell you. I'm just communicating the data. Little Forest Lamb says, if we own a coin that you don't cover in your premium content, is there a way to calculate those sell points? I mean, the coins that we cover are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, Tezos, Monero, XRP, Litecoin, Cosmos, Tesla, and the S&P 500, and VeChain as well. So I think those are the coins we cover. Make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up. Can we get maybe 300 likes? Also, please subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. It is a monthly subscription, but you can also pay for yearly. Actually, we also have lifetime subscriptions. So once you sign up on the premium list, you'll get access to a potential lifetime subscription, which, by the way, the lifetime subscription is also going up on the 28th. So if you want to get access to that, you have to first sign up, and then you can see what it is. And then that's also going up on the 28th of September. Bitcoin is still holding strong so far, so we'll see if it can continue to stay above that 20 week. If you sign up for 1 year, then decide to get a lifetime, do you get the 1 year money back? It's just used as a credit for the lifetime, yeah, so you can credit it towards the lifetime. Have you covered Ethereum, Bitcoin? I think I did. I mean, so I mean, the general idea, right, is if Bitcoin falls below the 20 week, then we're probably coming back down to at least this point, right? And we might continue this trend, right? We know that 2020 was the year that the momentum shifted, right? I mean, if you look at 2020, this was the momentum shift year, right? With this, for those who do like technical analysis, right? With this being your theoretical double bottom. So down for 2 years, double bottom, back up. So this is the channel that we're in. I'd still say business as usual for now. If Bitcoin breaks the 20 week, then we're certainly coming back down to this level. If Bitcoin continues to retest the 20 week, there's a good chance that it comes back down to this level. But if Bitcoin moves back up slowly, then, this is probably going to continue to trend up as well. Someone says, let's play chess. So when you DCA sell, it just matters what the risk level is, right? So for Link, it was the middle of the risk bands that we did. So it was 0.55 risk, 0.65, 0.75, and then 0.85. This would have been 0.95, but we didn't make it there. So, I sold 4/15 of it at 18.50, and at the time, it feels like, oh man, I wish I'd done it at 20. But looking back, I mean, who cares? I mean, it's just a rounding error. Selling at 18.50 over $20, not a huge difference. You recognize you can't time the top, but 18.50 was good enough for me. No, there are no hidden costs. How big is the community? I mean, you can sign up and see for yourself. Eric says, I'm a premium member, but I see no option for the lifetime membership. It's in the pinned message of the private Telegram channel. So check out the pinned message of the private Telegram channel. Some people keep asking me where I'm streaming. This is my house. I moved a couple weeks ago. Someone says, I can't believe you're bullish Ethereum, Bitcoin. I mean, I just said that if Bitcoin breaks the 20-week, it could come back down. So again, I guess you have to consider that, right? I mean, if Bitcoin breaks the 20-week, it's coming down. If Bitcoin continues to move up too quickly, it's coming down. If Bitcoin slowly moves up, then it's probably going up. How does one work out the levels for Y, 2Y, 3Y? All you do is you take the total number of let me give you an example. So imagine you had 10,000 link. Okay, imagine you had 10,000 link, and you want to sell it in portions. So you want to sell Y plus 2Y plus 3Y plus 4Y plus 5Y. Let's make this simpler. So we're going to make this simpler so we can just do kind of like back of the envelope math. So let's say you're just going to sell 4 levels, Y, 2Y, 3Y, and 4Y. So this adds up to 10Y. Therefore, Y equals the total number of link that you had when you crossed this point divided by 10. So if you say you had 1,000 link, then Y would have been 100 link. So you would have sold 100 link here, 200 here, 300 here, and 400 link here. Therefore, it makes it so you sell the most of it at the highest point possible. And you're only selling a small amount here, right, in case it just kind of comes back down. So at least you're taking profits. Then when it dips back down to the low risk level, you just start dynamically DCing back into the market. Someone says chess later, but for now let's play thermonuclear war. It's funny you say that. My PhD is in nuclear engineering. Everyone got the signal. I mean, you can ask the people on the premium list, and you don't even have to ask them. I mean, if you sign up for the premium list, everything's documented in the alerts channel. It showed every time, according to the moderate risk tolerance strategy, these sell points. Just go look at it. Don't take my word for it. Go look at it yourself. I'm just telling you, a lot of people. I mean, we sold a lot at $18.50, and we're already able to buy back in at $8.93 if we wanted to. If you sign up for 6 months now, yes, it'll always be the same price. You'll be grandfathered in. I do work as an engineer. I did not get my PhD to do YouTube full time. I do work as an engineer. This is just a side thing. Why sell the majority of your stack at 5Y when the market can never get to that risk level? So you have different risk strategies. So we go over several different ones. There's linear scaling, exponential scaling, other scalings as well. So it just depends on what you want to do. Yeah, if you sign up for 6 months, you get the same price later. I'm just looking at Tesla. So yeah, Tesla is flirting with that peak as well up here, which is the same region, it was these other times. Yeah, you can pay with crypto on the website. Yeah, price will be the same. Litecoin is that's the coin you want to wait until the next all-time high, theoretically, right? I mean, again, we can pull it up so that you get the benefit of that. By the way, we made a video a few weeks ago talking about Monero. And I said I think this is a potential really great accumulation range as long as Bitcoin stays above the 20-week. So again, I contend that it is, right? I mean, even though Bitcoin has been testing the 20-week a lot, the Monero Bitcoin ratio is trending upward, right? So what we're looking for, again, with Monero is if it continues like this, maybe we're going to see a break out of this, similar to the ADA Bitcoin ratio, right? So if we pull up, let's say we pull up the ADA Bitcoin ratio. So remember this accumulation range that we talked about over here, right? We talked about this for a long time. So this, right? This was the accumulation range for ADA against Bitcoin. So I think Monero is looking, it looks pretty similar. And remember too, as we showed before, the Monero ratio against Bitcoin broke out later than Ethereum did against Bitcoin in the last cycle. We know that Ethereum broke out against Bitcoin here, and then it came back down and moved sideways and then went down for a while, at least until the beginning of 2017. Monero continued to move up. So it looks pretty similar, right? I mean, you kind of see the the double bounce here, and then it pumped, right? We're looking at the potential double bounce, right? And then a pump. So the thing is Bitcoin needs to hold the 20-week, I think, for this to happen. If it doesn't hold the 20-week, then Monero Bitcoin's probably coming back down, and we'll continue to stay range bound. But if we hold the 20-week, I'm looking for a pump out of this accumulation range. Yeah, if you buy 6 months now, you can buy it at the same price later on, as long as you don't cancel. If you can't find the alerts channel, just send me an email, Jose. The targets for the Y levels are based on the risk levels. So we have the risk metric on the risk dashboard, so that's what it's based on. Yeah, the lifetime price is going up next week. Actually, someone asked about Litecoin, and I got distracted, so I'll talk about Litecoin. Again, I contend that Litecoin is a coin that you don't really want to hold until Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high. There are some exceptions, like leading up to the halving. But generally speaking, the major pump against Bitcoin happens when Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high. And if you go to the last market cycle, you can see that Bitcoin, as we've said many, many times, Bitcoin got to the prior all-time high. Actually, probably be easier to pull with the BLX. Bitcoin got to the prior all-time high at the beginning of 2017, and that is when Litecoin pumped against Bitcoin, right after it got to the prior all-time high. Everything in between that was more or less a downtrend. We anticipated, I mean, the halving that happened, Litecoin saw a move against Bitcoin, so maybe that's an intermediate time. But in general, I think we're going to see it continue downward, as we've said many, many times, until Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high, right, which is probably not going to be for another 16 months or so. So maybe, it'll do something like this, and it maybe pumps, comes down, and then maybe it'll pump up. But still, even if it does pump up, I think that it's still degrading against Bitcoin, right? I think every single time it's more or less going to continue going down. So it's all about timing, right? It's all about timing to catch this move here. And then after it does go up, it might come back down, then pump again once Bitcoin makes it to its new paradigm shift, and then continue on down. So it's about timing, and this is my perspective on Litecoin. Someone asked about XRP. Yeah, XRP is the same thing as Bitcoin, right? Not XPR. Let me put in XRP Bitcoin. So if you look at XRP against Bitcoin, it's the same narrative as Litecoin, right? Same narrative. Nothing has changed. And I told people, right? I told people that when Bitcoin gets above the 20-week, there's a good chance XRP will pump, as the rest of the market does, but ultimately it's going to continue down. And the reason is because you look last time, Bitcoin held the 20-week for the first time in January of 2016, and it saw a little blip of a pump, and it continued downward until Bitcoin got to the next all-time high. Same thing. Bitcoin holds the 20-week. It might not hold it, but it's holding it for the short term. Hits the 20-week, pump up, but ultimately it's going to likely continue down until Bitcoin gets to the next all-time high, and then maybe after here we get a pump, right? Maybe something like that. But it's all about timing, right? You don't want to holding XRP, down this is just absolutely absurd in my opinion. You don't have to have Coinbase. You're just sending it to a Coinbase account. It can be from anywhere. You don't have to send it from Coinbase. Yeah, the monthly subscriptions are grandfathered in. The lifetime price is going up next week. It's not a grandfathered thing. It's just going up next week. I was looking at this, like Link Bitcoin. This is a really nice chart, right? Let's get rid of some of these. This is a really nice chart, like a Link Bitcoin, right? And this is what, this is one of those assets, right? That you just want to be a part of the trend, right? But you don't want to be that schmuck buying it at these local tops, right? You don't want to be that guy. You want to be the guy that's waiting until it dips back down. Maybe even here, maybe wherever it happens to be according to your risk tolerance, and then getting in at that point. But again, this is a really nice trend against Bitcoin, right? A really nice one. We've already talked about Bitcoin and the stock market. The risk metrics that are available are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, Litecoin, XRP, Monero, and then also we have Tezos, VeChain, and Cosmos. But those latter three don't have a lot of data, so the risk metrics aren't as useful. Oh, we also have Tezos. Yeah, we have. Yeah, did I say Tezos? I think I said Tezos. All-time high prediction for Link if Bitcoin reaches 100K. I don't know, maybe a few $100s. Uniswap, yeah, we're gonna follow the Uniswap governance token on the channel. We're definitely gonna follow that one. I don't know if Link is bottomed. I don't claim to know exactly where the bottom or the top is, right? I don't claim this. The idea, right, as we said, the idea is not to say that we know where it's going to be, right? So if we go back over here, it's to generally, you scoop it out, right? You scoop out the sells and then you scoop up the buys, right? And you hope you hit the bottom wherever it is. I don't know where it is. Stop asking me. I already looked at Monero and Cardano. People keep saying they want to play chess. You guys can challenge me. I do allow, yeah. Oh, I don't know. I thought I allowed XRP. If it's on Coinbase, maybe it doesn't allow XRP. I don't know. Again, make sure you check out the premium list if you want to join. Prices are going up in 1 week, so if you want to get grandfathered in, check it out before they go up. Also, if you want to join the Telegram group, you can join that. I mean, there's a public Telegram group. We have over 6,000 people in it, so I'll put that in the comments. I don't see any chess challenges, so people keep saying they want to play me, but I don't see any challenges coming through yet. I'm into the cryptoverse on Lee Chess. Ethan, you can just send me an email through the website. I'm curious, good reason. What is your ELO chess rating? Should you always DCA in, or is there any merit to starting with a lump sum? I think there is some merit to starting with a lump sum sometimes, right? Like, you want to get exposure to the market, but I wouldn't do so much of a lump sum that you then can't afford to DCA in at that point. Like, you always want to be DCAing, in my opinion. But yeah, like doing a lump sum, especially if it happens to be early in the cycle, right? I mean, if you're talking about, like, if you look at, say, like the BLX, right? I mean, obviously a lump sum would have been better here than DCAing for, 12 months. But with that said, sometimes people they need time to be able to, to accumulate or to have the money just to buy it in the first place. So not everyone has the luxury of just putting in a ton of money. So I mean, it just depends. I would say lump sum is okay, but it's also a good idea, I think, to DCA. 2,300 is too high for me. I'm not creating my own token, no. Hey Ben, big fan. Thanks for being calm and out of rapping. You're welcome. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of volatility tonight with the markets, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel again. Please give the video a thumbs up and click the bell icon if you want to get notified of future videos. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV? Yeah, not really interested in those coins, to be honest. Glad you guys like the channel. Michael says, damn, I'm so late today. Did I miss anything? Same old, I guess. Matt, someone challenged me on chess, but I'm not going to play a 10-minute game on stream. If you want to challenge me to like a 3-minute game or a 1-minute game, but we're not going to do a 10-minute game on stream. I can't talk about XRP too much because usually when I do, my kids start crying. You guys are challenging me, but you're still making 10-minute games. I'm not playing 10-minute chess games on stream. I have 2 kids with 1 on the way. My 3rd kid is due next month. Some of you guys are challenging me in chess, but again, I'm not playing 10-minute games. If you want to challenge me on stream, maybe I'll do like a 1-minute game or a 3-minute game, but I'm not going to do like a 10-minute game. I already said that if I have 2 boys and the next one's a boy too, because if it had been a girl, I would have wanted to name her Isabella, right, for Bella. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA. I'm not playing 10-minute games. I swear, everyone, I think everyone just keeps challenging me to 10-minute games because they think I'm saying that, but I'm not. Okay, we got someone who wants to do 3 minutes. Let's go. I'm not gonna name my next son Blade, no. I don't really have time to follow people on crypto YouTube anymore, unfortunately. I used to play chess a lot, but I don't play it as much anymore. All right, looks like I got that one. Let me see if there's any more questions. He resigned. You can see he resigned. I'm just gonna see if there's any other questions. Let's see if Bitcoin's doing anything. Still at 10.4. What are your thoughts on the correlation of the stock market and Bitcoin? We already talked about that, so just scroll back to see that. Oh my gosh. I really struggle with questions like the one that Cavalicious. Oh my gosh. I didn't know if maybe there was another challenge. Siegix and checkmate. Looks like this guy. I think this guy challenged me first. Have you heard about proof of diversity? I don't really follow anyone online for crypto information, no. Yeah, Bitcoin's still at 10.4. I thought someone said the price moved, but yeah, I misread it. When do you think the top of this cycle will be? Probably 2023. Do I think Nikola will compete with Tesla? No, I do not. Into the chest verse. Probably should have moved there, not here, actually. I don't really understand that move. Yeah, I do think cycles will be longer each time. Yes, absolutely. I should have just taken it, actually. I don't know why I didn't just take it. I'll take here. Lockheed Martin has stated they are close to a solution for efficient fusion. I did nuclear engineering, right? I mean, it was funny because fusion was always the thing it was always like, it was a joke because it was always one of those things that was 20 years away, right? It's been 20 years away since like the 1950s. It's not a joke. I mean, it's taking a lot longer than they think. They thought was going to take. I want to go here and then here, and then fork. Maybe here. Or if he goes here, then here. Oh, the family fork. The family fork. Do you watch Chess Bra? I do, actually. Eric Hansen, I do watch him. It probably surprises you that I know who that is, actually. Yeah, I knew who all the big chess players are. Magnus Carlsen is number one. Fabiano Caruana is number two. He's the American. He started in Italy, but then he was convinced to go to America to play. Hikaru Nakamura streams. He's a U.S. chess player. If he goes here, it's checkmate. Okay, he didn't go there. So let me go here. Because if he doesn't do anything, then this is checkmate. If he moves this, then it's not. But if he moves this like here, it's not. And he did do that, so I think, because if I go here, he can just come down. I'll just go here. All right, I think we'll just run to get a queen. Let's just get a queen and call it a game. This will be a nice discovery too when the queen is there. I'll probably take, doesn't matter. Let's checkmate. All right, let's do a Bitcoin. Still up 10.4, so not a whole lot happening. Wade says, what are we doing here? We're just playing some chess, man. Chess and crypto. It's just another night. Okay, this guy's pretty good. 1909, he might beat me because we're basically the same ranking. He's got to go there, otherwise he's moving the king. Someone says, friendly advice, if you beat me in chess, it might cost an extra 20% just reverse. I mean, if you bought Bitcoin at 10.1, I mean, you know, it's still around the 20-week moving average. It might be okay. It's hard to say at this point. Did you ever think about how much longer in the next cycle will be than the previous one? What are your thoughts about this? Yeah, I think I've said it a few times, like um, probably like 2023 or something like that would be my general guess. I don't know exact percentage, but you know, in that area. I'm wondering if, I guess I need to take, probably should have taken it first. Guess I'll just go here for now. Oh, that wasn't good. You got me. Good game, buddy. All right, guys, it's getting late here. Might as well wrap it up on a loss. Let's see. Bitcoin's still at 4.6, so the markets are kind of boring. We've kind of run the gamut on all the market stuff. So, uh, yeah, I mean, let me know if you guys have any more questions. But I think we'll probably go ahead and wrap it up. Um, you know, keep an eye on the 20-week. Obviously, the 20-week is where we want to watch. It's currently at 10,140 or so, 10,150, depending on what exchange you use. Check out the premium list again if you guys want access to the premium content. Again, you can find it here. I'll just put it in the chat. But I think that'll wrap it up for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I guess I'll also add in the Telegram, the link to the Telegram channel if you guys want to join that. But yeah, that'll wrap it up. That'll wrap it up for the show, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.